What's up, Radnor? I'm Will Dawson.
And I'm Luke Hondros. Welcome to Overtime.
Our all-new sports show here at Radtv.
From school sports to the pros, we cover it all.
So, without further ado, let's take a look at this week's top story. It was certainly a rough one for the Birds this Sunday, losing in overtime to the Cowboys of all teams. Now, dropping this division game means pretty much no hope for a Super Bowl repeat or a playoff appearance at all. Luke, what do you make of this devastating loss?
Wait, what? I mean, the Eagles had a superb season, I'll admit, but they could have redeemed themselves with a win against Dallas on Sunday, but they choked. After the first half, I didn't turn it off, though.
The Eagles scored a big fat 0 points in the first half, which is just embarrassing, barely holding off Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys to 6. Now, the Birds had their moments, mainly in the fourth quarter, but I agree with you, Luke. This was an unimpressive showing from the Eagles, indicative of an unimpressive season.
Oh well, losing to the division to Dallas was not what I had in mind coming off a Super Bowl championship, that's for sure.
And if you want to talk about expectations, let's talk about Carson Wentz. I mean, as we've reached the one-year anniversary of his season-ending ACL tear in 2017. Now, Carson has been back in as starting QB since week 3, but something seems off to me. Don't get me wrong, he's a talented franchise quarterback, but he's nowhere near where he was last year. If not for the ACL tear, he could have won MVP, and we're just not seeing the same Carson right now.
If you look at his stats from Sunday, they're actually very good, but I agree that he's not playing at the same caliber as last year.
You could probably say that for much of the team. The offensive line has been mediocre at best, the secondary is riddled with injuries, and we have a shortage of running backs after losing Jay Ajayi in week 5. And let's not even talk about the disastrous Golden Tate trade. The Eagles have been lacking on all sides of the ball this season, and it showed on Sunday.
Thanks for bringing that up. Now I'm going to focus on the draft.
Go ahead, we need it.
Well, look at it this way. We can't win the Super Bowl every year. It's just impossible. I know we all hope the Birds would have another deep playoff run this year, and it's been beyond disappointing to lose the division to Dallas. But by missing out on the playoffs and having a bad record, we actually acquired better draft picks this year. Draft is a huge part of the NFL, and some high picks could be great for the Eagles.
Sounds like a good segue to talk about the draft.
Exactly. Here are my top draft picks. Eagles need a good running back along with, say, a defensive tackle, a receiver, and a cornerback.
All this talk about draft prospects reminds me that the college football playoffs are coming up. Let's take a look. The picks are in, and your college football semifinal games are slated for next Saturday, December 29th.
We got the Clemson Tigers facing off against the Notre Dame, and Oklahoma facing the Evil Empire.
Luke.
Fine. Everyone's least favorite team. Nobody likes Alabama, except down in Alabama.
What don't you like about Bama, Luke?
Where do I begin? Saban rigs the championships. Their fans are always super obnoxious, and they always coincidentally have an easy schedule. I'm tired of seeing them win. Same reason for the Patriots.
Whoa, Luke. You know we have some Patriots fans at Radnor, right?
Really?
Anyways, back to college football. Luke, what do you make of these matchups?
My money's on Clemson to win just because their defense is so good. And as much as I hate to say, Bama's going to beat Oklahoma.
Well, either way, they'll be great games. So remember, December 29th, college football playoffs begin.
You know, it's a shame.
What's a shame?
College football playoffs could be so much better.
How would you make the college football playoffs better?
Well, for starters, there should be 16 teams in the bracket, not 4. I mean, every other NCAA sport ends with an official tournament, so why not college football?
That's an interesting theory, Luke. I don't really know.
Well, what we do know is that the Radnor Raiders had one heck of a season.
Going right from pro to college to high school football, are we?
Absolutely.
We had the pleasure of sitting down with Radnor football head coach Tom Ryan this week for an interview. He talked about the historic season and his experiences as head coach. Let's take a look.
All right, we're rolling. Coach Ryan, first of all, thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming, Will.
Can you tell me a little bit about the season you just had with Radnor football and how successful it was, and as a coach, reflecting back on it now since it's December, how do you feel as a coach?
Well, we knew back in the summer the kids had worked, really, really hard, even into last winter, and we knew we had a lot of veteran players coming back with 24 seniors who had most of them, if not all of them, had varsity experience, and then our 2 veteran senior managers, Charlie Doan and Jack Demi. So we just knew we had a chance to be pretty good, and they put the work in, led by our 2 weight room guys, Coach Bowen and Coach DeCipio, with their guidance, and just was really excited about getting started for real in August.
Right. So August, like preseason, did you look at the team and think this is a playoff potential team, or?
Yeah, we hoping for the best, but that's what we felt. We'd been to the playoffs the last 2 years, and now that we had then most of them, especially the seniors, had that experience. So we felt pretty confident we would make the playoffs. But our goal, from the captains on down, before we even started, was not only to get to the playoffs, but to get the school's first home playoff win, and we were able to achieve that.
What was it like getting that first win?
That was kind of I kind of said this was the season of excitement, and that was definitely the most exciting way to get the first playoff win. If you remember the game, Marple had scored with a minute 48 on the clock. They kicked off to us. We were out of timeouts. Teddy had a great return to about the 42, and then Sean and company just worked their way down the field with a couple fourth downs mixed in there. Clock's running, and we got down to, I think it was third and goal. It wasn't the third and goal. I think it was third down about the 18-yard line with 3 seconds left. And Sean found Jameer in the back of the end zone for a walk-off touchdown. And, those moments are rare, but that's one of the reasons you coach, for excitement like that, absolutely.
What do you think was so special about the kids playing this year? Like, what made them such a good team?
I think they liked each other, and that sounds silly, but I've coached teams where they all didn't really get along, and we've still had success. But the fact that these guys were friends with each other, the majority of them, and that just carries over to offense, defense, and specials. And our 4 captains did an amazing job. Sean Malarkey, Jameer Ryder, Teddy Gurton, and Henry Collins. They each had their own little style, the way they led the team. Sean, of course, was our most vocal pregame or after warm-ups. He just got everybody juiced up as we would make our way up to the field. Henry just does such a great job, setting the protection for the offensive line. And Jameer and Teddy together just never came off the field. They were on the field pretty much all 48 minutes of every game, and just they led by example. So it was a great mixture of captains, and the other 22 seniors had totally bought in, and that's one of the reasons we were able to achieve record of 9-3. Now, we had a lot of great underclassmen as well, our junior and sophomore class, and one freshman who became a starter, Damian Falcone. So, I always preach about how great the seniors were, and they absolutely did an unbelievable job, and they're the group I'm going to remember. But, we couldn't have done it without the juniors, sophomores, and freshmen as well. So, just really exciting, season. It would have been nice to get that 10th win, but we were thrilled to get 9.
Yeah, so you guys obviously ended with a loss in the playoffs. Was the environment of disappointment after that, or was it like, well, we made it this far? What was the consensus afterward?
Anytime you lose, you're bummed out, from the coaching staff down, because we all put a lot of time in. And I think after that weekend had passed, when you reflected back, you realize what a special season it was. I mean, we all talked about how we wish we had the opportunity to play another game, and that was a very good Unionville team, and we played a very good first half, but they just were the better team that night, and nothing to be ashamed of. Our kids played great. There's so many highlights to the season. Up near the top, you can't pick one, but was putting up 63 against Ridley was just great. The first Marple game, the Springfield game, Strathaven came down to the last drive at their place. Did what we needed to do against Harriton. And I'll tell you, Lower Merion, that was a very exciting game. Their offense was very, very good. So to win that 28-20, to get since we've been here, this staff, that's our 12th game against Lower Merion, and we've beaten them 10 times. So it's nice to get our 10th win against Lower Merion, and it only took 12 years. So I got a great mix of coaching staff with youth and some older guys like myself, and a lot of credit goes to Dave Bowen with our offensive line, and of course Coach DeCipio running the offense with Dave's help as far as the run part of the game. So, we'll be talking about this team for a long, long time, that's for sure.
Right, so this team was really special, and I know it's a little early, but I mean, in terms of next year, is there high expectations? You guys think you have a lot of talent? What's the vibe around this?
Well, I think skill-wise, we have a lot of guys coming back who got varsity experience. The biggest thing that Coach Bowen has his work cut out for him is to replace 5 seniors on the offensive line. Now, Lincoln came in when Ryan Berniker got hurt and did a great job for 7 or 8 games, which is fantastic for us to have a guy with all that experience coming back. But 5 seniors that really did an amazing job up front. And, Matt Cohen was fantastic at running back throughout the whole year. And he missed 2 games. He would have been, I think he finished 4th in the county in rushing with missing 2 games. So, they're going to be hard to replace, but we're up for the challenge, and we got, a great group coming back. And, that's what makes this game fun, is preparing for it and seeing if the kids are willing to put the work in and come back and hit the ground running for real in early August next year.
All right, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Right.
All right. Well, I think that about does it. But thanks for.
I was trying to look at you, Will. I didn't know.
It was
that?
Yeah,
okay.
That's probably protocol.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, thanks, Coach Ryan.
Everything.
It really was a special season for the Raiders, and hey, it looks like there could be many more to come.
Let's just hope this success translates to your Radnor sports teams.
For sure. We'll have coverage and updates on the Radnor Winter Sports in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that.
Let's move on to the NBA now.
As we move further into the middle part of the season, several teams are making an impact in the standings, most notably the Nuggets and the Thunder in the West, and the Raptors as well as our own 76ers in the East. Luke, what do you make of this week in the NBA?
Well, everyone's talking about the top 3 or 4 teams, but I want to take a look at the bottom, mainly the Cavaliers.
You think they're tanking?
Of course they're tanking. Just look at their records. It's shocking to see last year's conference champions taking so early.
I agree, it is shocking, but in the absence of LeBron James, I guess the Cavs will do what they got to do to rebuild.
I just have a problem with the philosophy from tanking.
Well, tanking has shown success, though, most notably in the Sixers trust the process.
Of course, it just worked for because it worked for the Sixers, and it will work for everyone.
It certainly has been working for the Sixers recently. They've won 10 of their last 12, bringing them within reach of first place in the conference.
And this is large thanks to Jimmy Butler, who the Sixers got in a trade with Minnesota. He's averaging just under 20 points a game and is performing in the clutch. He's hit multiple game-winning threes in his first month with the team. He's the definition of an impact player. With Simmons, Embiid, and Butler on the court, the Sixers will be a force to reckon with, except with Fultz.
Now, it's worth mentioning that Jimmy Butler left Monday night's win against the Pistons with a groin strain, but reports are showing that the injury isn't as serious as it seems. He shouldn't miss more than a few games at most.
The Sixers have really been a bright spot for Philly this year.
That's for sure. Well, that about does it for Overtime this week. We'll be picking up with weekly episodes in the new year. Until then, I'm Will Dawson.
And I'm your man, Luke Hondros. See you next time, Raiders, Radnor,